Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day. Today my video is going to have a lot of spoilers, so please click off of this if you do not want to know more about The Last of Us Episode 1 on HBO Max that aired yesterday. If you do not know anything about The Last of Us is a video game that was made and released. It was released in 2013, and part 2 was released in 2020. Part 1 follows a man named Joel and him escorting a girl named Ellie to meet a militia group called the Fireflies so they can get a cure for mankind because there is a zombie apocalypse basically going on in the world. And through their journey, we see that Jill starts developing a father and daughter relationship with Ellie, and they start getting along and working together. If you've not played the game, I encourage you to play it, or you can go watch somebody on YouTube play this game. It's very powerful. Great story. I have played this game at least 18 times. Part 1 I've played at least 18 times. Part 2 I've played about 4 or 5 times. Part 2 feels a lot longer, so it takes me a little bit longer, but I like to play part 1, then go into play part 2. So I will play part 2 again because I just finished playing part 1 again, and I enjoy it so much. The story is just so near and dear to my heart. Like many in my community of Last of Us people, it's very powerful, and we were very nervous about the show coming out. So to say that it was a great introduction to the show is understated because it was so good. They did so well. Like, I know there's some changes that they made, little minor ones, but that's expected just to make the storyline go a little bit differently. We've got to see a little bit more of a background of other characters, like Sarah, which is Jill's daughter. In the video game, she dies within like 10-15 minutes, so we don't get to know her much. But this episode, we actually got to know her a little bit, and we got to know about her personality. We got to actually experience her more than just for a few minutes. We got to see her relationship with Joel, and we got to learn that she sells drugs, hardcore drugs, to buy things such as getting her dad's watch repaired. If you know the game, you know what I'm joking. So we get to see a little bit about Joel and his grief and his job now that he's in the apocalypse. It's been 20 years. And we get to meet Tess and get to know her a little bit. Some things in the story are different. It's very clear that, it's not very clear, but it's implied that they're in a Joel and Tess are in a romantic relationship. It is also implied that they live together, which was not something that was really confirmed in the game. It was kind of just like speculation, kind of. There was a lot of background talk, so if you know the game, you know who they're talking about, because like they start talking about Frank and, oh gosh, what's his name? Bill. They start talking about Frank and Bill in the background, so those are characters that we'll eventually see later on. And we got to see a little bit of Ellie that we haven't seen before. Ellie's, we didn't get to see her get bit yet, but I know we're going to get to see her be bit by a runner soon. Just because based on the previews, we will get to see that. We'll get to see her with Riley in the carousel scene. There's a lot of storyline that I'm so excited to see, and I know we get to have background story. A lot of people want to have like a part 3 of The Last of Us, which is like a prequel of the first game where we get to see Tommy and Joel and their journey for the last 20 years and where they're at and what happened and how they got where they are. I think that's going to happen in this series. I don't know if it'll happen this season, but I have a feeling we're going to do a lot of flashbacks because I know that like it's implied that Ashley Johnson is Ellie's mother. Ashley Johnson plays the original Ellie in the video game, and then Troy Baker plays James, who is one of the henchmen for one of the bad guys in the first game. So the original actors are in it, and that makes me very happy. I know there's a lot of controversy of the actors who are playing the characters, especially with Bella Ramsey playing Ellie. A lot of people were upset about it. I think she did really well. Granted, half the time all I heard was her cussing the entire episode. I still felt Ellie in it. I still saw that attitude, that spark, that punkiness, that defiance. I still felt it, and I get it, and I was nervous just like a lot of people. It's nerve-wracking to see something that you love possibly be destroyed. It'd be like Avatar: The Last Airbender versus the M. Night Shyamalan, however you say his name's version of it. it's always scary that could be what happens. And so far, that's not going to happen here. And I am so ecstatic about it. She did great. Pedro did great as Joel. Mika, I think Nika is her name. She played Sarah. She did an excellent job. We got to see Sarah a little bit more. We got to see her go into her neighbor's house to make cookies. And there's an old lady there in a wheelchair, and she's basically dead of the world. She doesn't talk. She doesn't move. She doesn't eat. And there's a scene where Sarah's looking through like DVDs on a cupboard right in front of Grandma, and we actually see Grandma, and she's like opening her mouth and like jerking a lot, like she's turning into a runner. And I'm like, it was creepy, and I appreciated that. Like, I was actually like, oh, and I even went back. I'm like, holy crap! And it reminded me like I was watching a horror movie, and I loved it. I was like, that is ingenious, and it doesn't explain how the fungal virus starts. It doesn't explain how that lady got it, how people are getting sick originally. We just know there's a lot going on in the world right now based on like radio broadcasts we can hear in the background or like news reports. There's not much explanation, but that's how the game is too. We don't know why it started. We don't know how patient 0 happened. We don't know how it spread to people randomly. Like, it feels like it's randomly that Grandma got sick like that, because then Sarah goes to the neighbor's house in the middle of the night because their dog is at her door. She goes to try to take the dog back, and she walks in and Grandma's eating everybody in the house, and Grandma chases her. So we get to see that, and that's something we don't get to see in the game. And so we got to have a little bit of a taste of it, and I loved it. Loved it. We get to see a bit of Joel and Ellie together. We got to see the scene where she tells him his watch is broken, and we get to see a lot of character building already. I was so happy to see, and I tried not to look into it too much. I'm sure I probably saw it on my Facebook group that I'm a part of for Last of Us, but the lady that plays Marlene, I can think of her name. I can think of her real name. Marlene, the leader of the Fireflies. We get to see her. We get to see her authority in the Fireflies, where they're at, and her communications with everybody, how she finds out that Ellie is bitten. Well, we don't see exactly how she finds out, but how she gets connected with Ellie and how they're holding on to Ellie because they realize that she's immune to the disease, and we get to see her, and she's actually being played by the original Marlene by Merle. Her name's Merle. It was so nice to hear her voice and be like, that's her. I didn't even need to look at the cast to know, like, that is her. And it's almost like this is how it's always been, though. Like, these characters, even though they look a little bit different, it feels like that's what the game has been the entire time. It's always been that way. There's a lot of concern that they're not doing spores, which is something that is in the game. It's a big part of the game. If you see spores, you have to they automatically do it, but you put your face mask on to breathe. And your gas mask. And that's how Joel learns that Ellie is telling the truth about her immunity because she can breathe in spores and he cannot. So that shows that she is actually immune. I think what they're going to do, since they're not doing spores anymore, I don't know why they skipped that. I feel like it'd be easy to show those, but for some reason they changed that. I feel like, because everyone's like, well, how is he going to believe her now? How is that going to be believable? I think he's just going to believe her. I think that he's just going to be like, yes, this is true. Because that's the only way I can see around it. Now, people are worried about part 2 when we get to that time frame in the game. But we have a long way to go before we can get to part 2. I really don't think, I think we could really spread this out and, carry it further and further and further. We could get part 1 in at least 2 seasons if they wanted to. We don't have to get part 1 done in a whole season. Because that's kind of just dumb, in my opinion, to race through this storyline when there's so much you could talk about. And we have been told that we could see some background stories. I know a lot of people wanted to see the story of Fort Joel and his brother Tommy went with that 20 years. I think they're going to take advantage of that and show that in this show. We're going to get to know about Bill and Frank a little bit and their relationship. That's been shown a little bit. I think we're going to get to see Ish, which is someone that we've never officially met in the games, but we did get to know him through his letters that you find as you're playing the game. So I think that that's someone that we're going to get to see a background story on too, and I'm really excited about that. I'm glad that they're taking advantage of all these stories that we read about, and now we get to see it. And so I don't think we're going to always be on Joel and Ellie. I think we're going to be flashing forward and backwards quite a bit. I think we're going to be doing quite a bit of background on Ellie's story, because we're going to see, like, Ashley Johnson is rumored to be playing Ellie's mother, who is dead in the game, but we're going to see that backstory a little bit. So I'm really hoping that we can get a lot of extra lore, if you will. I'm assuming everything's canon because Neil Druckmann's an executive producer, so this is what it is, and I'm ecstatic. Such a good show. I'm looking forward to next Sunday to see the next episode. There's 9 episodes this season. I've heard they have already planned to do quite a few seasons, so it's has the possibility to turn into like The Walking Dead. I wish it was on regular television because I think it would have done well. I really do. I don't know that for a fact, but I think it would have done well. If they had the right channel, they had the right promotionary stuff, I think they could do it. But for right now, it's only on HBO Max. I personally got an account for HBO Max just for this show. So as soon as season 1's over, I'll probably cancel my subscription. And then when season 2 comes out, I'll reinstate it. I'll do that. I don't really need another subscription channel that I don't watch. But I'm so happy. And I think that anyone that is a Last of Us fan or wants to get to know The Last of Us without playing the game, if you're not a video game player, this is the show for you. I enjoy it. I don't think that if you're not a fan of it, you'll be as excited about things that you see, but I think it's worth it because we even get to see like what Joel does with his job at behind the quarantine zone, and everything about them. We're learning so much. In one episode, we learned so much and seen so much. I'm so excited. So if you guys have not checked it out and you are interested in The Last of Us, please do so. I plan on doing like a review video probably every 1 or 2 episodes, depending on my schedule. But I really want to talk about it with you. Leave a comment. Did you see the episode? What did you think? And what do you think is going to happen in the future? Really, there shouldn't be much spoilers other than the parts that are different from the game to the show. Like they've added something. Those are the only spoilers because you can watch the game. You can play it yourself and then go from there. I'm part of a few community Facebook groups. We can't really talk about it yet. There's a rule you can't talk about it till like 24 hours after it airs, because it airs here. It aired yesterday, so Sunday, and in the United States, and in other countries it's today. So there's like a 24-hour, you have to wait, you can't talk about it thing. But really the only spoilers that are coming are spoilers concerning like extra sideline stuff. So I hope you have a great day. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!